Today, I'm joined by Colin Ledsom, the man behind Ledders Extreme. We're going to dig into where it all started, how a bold idea turned into a great community, and yes, you may hear about a few taste buds that didn't survive the journey. But rather than me tell you what he does, let me introduce you to Colin. Welcome to the podcast, Colin.
Thanks, Sam. Nice to meet you. Good afternoon.
You too. Thank you. You too. So if you were to explain what it is that you do, let's say you're at a wedding and somebody goes, literally, what is it that you do? Please take the floor.
I don't think I'd explain it in public in case anybody's listening and I get locked up. Let's go with that. What I've created over many years is this side hustle, for want of a better phrase, is hot sauce. We make a couple of varieties of hot sauce, and on the side of that, we do what we call pico de gallo, which is a posh salsa, and also hummus. But what it was more than a kind of hot sauce, because I was frustrated in life's journey about when I opened a bottle of sauce and I looked at the ingredients and like a bottle of chili sauce or something, and it was like 15% chilies. So I'm like, okay, so if I've got like 10 mouthfuls of sauce, one and a half of them have got chili. So like eight and a half mouthfuls of this sauce has got nothing to do with chili sauce. And it all kind of fell apart from there. Then I started years ago. I was told by the doctors I had to eat healthier, and because I was living in the US and eating all phenomenal amounts of fried food and bits and pieces, and I went on a bit of a health kick as well. And I had a nutritionalist, and amongst the many things she told me that I couldn't eat, which was a very, very long list, is like, you keep away from processed stuff and this, that, and the other, this, that, and the other. But if you get a good hot sauce, that's allowed. I'm like, oh, at least I can put flavor. When I've boiled my chicken and broccoli, I can have something on it that makes it tasty. And so I think the love affair for chili flavor began many years ago when we were motorcycle riding youths and having barbecues around friends' houses, and you couldn't find like a relish that would give like a basic burger. We would have bought the cheapest burgers possible back in those days. It's like 50 burgers for £1 or something, and you can imagine the quality of meat in there. But it was like, how do we make it more flavoursome? And being of that age, the bravado and the innocence of chili burn didn't exist. So we would just like slice a load of fresh chilies, load of onion, fry the kind of thingy up together with a bit of sort of tomatoes and a bit of maybe some sugar to like take a little bit of sweetness to it, and create just like this relish thing. And we'd make bucket loads of it, and we'd eat it like we knew no better. And we didn't know any better, but that kind of started the whole thing, and literally, I mean, I remember that being, oh God, 20 years ago, maybe. Yeah, it would have been 20 years ago, that sort of thing. And it was just when we had barbecues, oh, Colin, can you make the chili relish? Colin, can you make the chili relish? And I'm like, you think nothing more of it. I'm like, why didn't you do it? It's like, the basic
Simple
ingredients.
to you.
It
Yeah.
involves a sharp knife, a frying pan, and whatever you've got, you kick it around and run down to Sainsbury's or any other convenience store to get some tinned tomatoes or chopped tomatoes or whatever. But the whole Ledders Extreme became when I was living out. I moved to Florida in 2014, and in a really nice sort of village environment, a small town environment, and every year they had a chili cook-off competition, and yeah, so
Wow.
I do have a slight competitive edge, and the first.
No doubt.
Yeah, the first year we were there, my brother-in-law and my sister came out, and he's a chef, a proper one, as opposed to me, which is a wannabe. Uh,
Self-taught.
well, yeah, but we always used to have like chef off competitions when we were both together, and we went to this. We all went as just a member of the public to this first cook-off, this chili cook-off thing, and it was such a great day out. There's 20 or 30 different stalls making their own chili in this competition, but the whole environment was a real good old village fete, community day out. There was music playing, there was all sorts of things going on, and some cold beers were thrown in. And some of the chili, I've got to tell you, was the most disgusting thing I've ever tasted, but some of it was okay. and being American, most was oversalted, or it had cheese with it. You got to have cheese with everything. So I looked at Dom and I said, next year I'm having this, you know.
Wow.
But in the meantime, we were, I was looking at the chili relish kind of side. And I'm like, well, we just make it into a sauce. But that's, you can't have, but that's adding more ingredients. Because at this point, I'm thinking, how many ingredients should a good chili sauce have, in my opinion? I'm like, well, you want chilies. You need a bit of vinegar, really, to not always as a preservative, but also to give it a consistency. Because you don't, because if it's just blitzed fruit, it's going to be all gloopy and whatever. I don't know the right word, but not good. Um, and then you need, depending on what the chilies are, there can be a harsh flavour, as in a bitter. I mean, obviously, the heat is something you want to control because you want to make it edible, but you also want it sweet but not over sweet, where it detracts from what it's kind of meant to be, what it says on the tin. So played around with various levels and came out with the basics of like 85% pure fruit. And then going down the scale of ingredients, you have literally a tiny amount of like spirit vinegar, white vinegar, to literally
Consistency.
yeah, consistency, will sort of water it down. Then honey. Honey as a sweetener instead of sugar, because it's slightly, it's not. I wouldn't recommend eating jars of it at a time, but it's better for you than eating sugar, right? So I use that as a natural kind of sweetener, and then throw in some garlic, because I wanted to add a bit of French to it. No, it didn't. It was just, you got a bit of garlic, and then just a tiny bit of salt. I could probably erase the salt thinking about it, but I don't know, something I could try. So the garlic gave a little bit of an extra texture to it, but the important thing was getting the right blend of honey to give it, to take the real edge off of the flavour of the chilies. And then as I started making different wines, I'm like, well, what chilies are we going to use?
That was one of
Because,
my questions. Yeah. How do you pick what chili? Like,
well,
where do you start?
I've got no idea. so, so, so living out in Florida was phenomenal, because the opportunity to go to a local supermarket, there was a couple that were sort of like almost like farm kind of style supermarkets. The various chilies, it was like going into like a sweet shop, and there's just rows and rows and bins of different. And I was like, what?
Is there that many different ones?
Yeah, and
Wow.
and I'm like, oh, we're in
Yeah.
trouble, because normally, living over here. But I mean, I think, it's become more cosmopolitan nowadays. In
Mhm.
supermarkets, have a different array of chili. You've got, bird's eyes, you've got jalapenos, you've got Scotch bonnets, and blah blah blah. And I don't know how many choices of chili there are, but there's probably hundreds of their variants. So I wanted something hot, but not too hot that that doesn't make it an edible sauce, as in like a good splash on a sandwich, or
Do you
whatever.
do you test that on your parents, or like what's your what's your
Well,
limit on
I would, but sadly they passed, and that had
that? Sorry.
nothing to do with my sauce. Honestly,
Okay, good.
honestly,
Quick disclaimer.
and we're sticking to that. Yeah, I signed this disclaimer. When do we put that? Um, so yeah, just victims, local victims of, sorry,
Yeah, that's
friends, friends and the relatives that are still around. But also, you can kind of get once you've done it a couple of times, you kind of get a smell to it. You can smell when it's, whoa, holy moly, I'm not going anywhere near that. Or, you know, so I started just using what we would call the finger chilies, the sort of the longer kind of green ones, kind of thin, and that would give a nice thing. But you couldn't, if you bought one batch today and then one batch tomorrow, you could get a totally different kind of sauce. So you needed something that had like a standard sort of flavour. Yeah, like if
okay.
you make tomato sauce, you could make it out of plum tomatoes, you could make it out of small or cherries, and you get a
Yeah.
different, So with this, I found Scotch bonnets by accident in the end. So initially, I was blending some Scotch bonnets with finger chilies and stuff like that to get the volume of chili, and then adjust it with the honey at the end. This way, I found just pure Scotch bonnets now is in Letters Extreme. So it's 85%, 85% Scotch bonnets. So
Wow.
so in your little
Let's
jar,
have a look.
up to about there is Scotch bonnets. The rest of it is
Proper hot
stuff that
sauce.
makes it stuff that makes it edible.
Oh wow.
so, so so but with that, when you did
Yeah.
that, when I did that, you get a more consistent flavour from batch to batch to batch to batch, because each batch will only make maybe 40 bottles of sauce. And so what you don't want is for you to buy a bottle today, then you have a bottle from the next one. Well, it doesn't taste the same.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah.
But on but a little bit of a plus is that the colour may change a little, but that then proves that we're not we're not Heinz or whatever, where we just
Yeah.
got 500 kilos of mulch and whatever else. So it will, it has got to taste a little bit different, just purely because if you put it side by side, I guess if you split it down and you put it on some sort of clever machine, you would taste the difference. But when you use it normally, it's a very consistent flavour now throughout, and it's taken a while to get that, because we've played around a couple of times. We're at a point now where I am happy with what I produce.
You've got your like set ingredients and how much, and it would
That's
play
it.
out
Yeah,
pretty similarly. So
yeah.
yeah, okay, that's great.
So that's it. So I stuck on that Scotch bonnet because the Scotch bonnet it does deliver a punch, but it also has a nice flavour to it. So for me, having a hot sauce is more about having a flavoursome, edible sauce than having something that's so stupidly hot that you can't taste it. There's always there's always those people, oh, I got to have it. So that's not a hot sauce. And you're like, well, here we go.
Yeah.
There's always somebody, right? And you're like, well, let's be honest. It is a hot sauce.
Yes.
That is the gospel truth. If you want something, and they'll measure it in whatever the latest scale is. I want it in like a million whatever's. I said, well, we can do that, but like we do like a version called Reaper's Revenge.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought the name
Now,
itself was a bit crazy. Anyway.
well, it kind of is. It kind of is that it does what it says on the tin. So with that, pardon me, instead of it being what up to there of Scotch bonnets, it's up to there of Carolina Reaper chilies. Now there, I think
Be
the
a fighter.
second hottest chili on the planet, maybe the third. I don't know. Someone's gonna. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, actually, it's the third.
There's a new one now. Yeah.
It's yeah, it's hot enough. Let me tell you. And if you like putting that on like a little tortilla chip and eating it, then that's fine by me. I would. I
Yeah.
mean, you have
Yeah.
it once, you holy cheapers on a stick. Um, but that kind of thing, if you're making a chili, I made a chili last night, and if you're making a chili, and you don't want to mess around putting fresh chilies in and stuff, a good glug of that in it, and you're like,
You can
because
really taste it.
it's got a real chili fire to it. But as a day-to-day sauce, hey, if you want that kind of thing, it's there. But you're always going to get that sector of society that want something, whether it's I don't know, whether it's or somebody has, don't know if you can use it as a masculine kind of thing anymore. But people are, I'm so tough. I'm gonna eat like 20 raw chilies. Hey, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
I've been there, done that, and I've somehow survived the other side. So the day-to-day Letters Extreme is a hot sauce,
Yes.
but you can dip your finger in. Actually, dip a spoon in. Sorry, when you don't dip fingers in anymore. Dip your finger in and just eat it like a like a proper hot sauce. You could have it on the table. If whatever dinner you had, you could put a few dabs of it on, or whatever. It's not like what you would like. Like kids put ketchup like and squeeze it through. You've got like 7 liters on the table on the plate.
A good idea.
But no, but we're developing something like that. So my next one is a more ketchup based hot
Mm.
sauce.
Okay, so yeah, so that's one of the things I was thinking about when you were saying that you do the hummus, the salsa, and the hot sauce. Is this sort of the trial and errors of the consistency, and actually that more honey makes the hot sauce, but then less honey makes the salsa and that side of things. Is that where you sort of
Yes.
came up with a different?
So again, it was friends when we used to go around and living where it's all about eating outdoors and a lot
Yeah,
of Mexican influence living out in Florida. So because we'll go and buy a jar of a pot of salsa, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my, have you seen what crap? Sorry, what stuff is in
It's
there,
fine.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, but why have I got to eat that? Right? What I want is fresh. I want it to taste fresh. I want to enjoy eating it. I can't enjoy eating it now and know how much of things that you can't even pronounce are in there.
Yeah.
Words that look great in like a Chinese dictionary. I got no idea how to pronounce them, and they've got no vowels in them, and you're going to eat it.
Yeah.
And a salsa, it should be. So then I started researching salsas, and salsas you can put anything together and call it basically a salsa. But what we make, if I can allowed to be a nerd, is a pico de gallo, which were upon, and then someone's going to, oh, actually, I've researched that, and you're not right. In my humble opinion, the pico de gallo is like a salsa, but it's quite regulated in terms of its ingredients and recipe. Whereas a salsa, you can do everything kind of with, and it doesn't have to be fresh ingredients. The pico has to be fresh ingredients, so fresh tomato, fresh coriander, fresh garlic, fresh jalapeno, etc., etc. So I started making that, and we'd go to various friends, and oh, Colin's going to make this, Colin's going to make that, and so all of a sudden, I'm like, there's something in there, right? There's
Yeah.
got to be. So when I moved back to the UK and started, I'm like, okay, so if people are having barbecues locally, so at any time now that the season's starting, can I get? I want a couple of pots of your pico, a couple of pots of hummus. So again, with hummus is pretty good because even most shop bought hummuses haven't got too many extra ingredients. And but for me, it's about what the hummus is just blend some chickpeas with whatever you want to throw in it,
Yeah.
whatever you think feels good, right? So you can do like a plain hummus with garlic, or you can do a really nice caramelized onion. But the most popular is a jalapeno because that fits with the tradition, right? Um, so yes, but they're all kind of interrelated in that kind of sector of food, I think, in that way. So it's always looking for something to add. And one of the things that somebody said to me is like, oh, I put a load of your extreme sauce on my bacon roll this morning, burnt my head off. Well, if you put a load of hot sauce on any roll that early in the morning, it's going to kind of blow your head off, right?
Be
It
in the
just is
morning.
what it is. Like, you can't blame me for that. So I'm like, well, why don't we make somewhere in between a ketchup
Mm.
and a hot sauce? So meet somewhere in the middle. So that's, but again, researching how you make a ketchup, obviously there is a lot of sugar in ketchup, and that's one of the things I really wanted to stay away from because, one of my things is, you know, hidden sugars and stuff is literally probably one of the biggest killers on the planet. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
True.
Again, I'll be shot down in flames, but in my humble opinion,
It's true. Yeah.
that's where it is. It is true. You know, don't get me started on that.
It's
but but
fine. You get. But yeah,
but
it's true.
when you can make a nice like tomato, we're in England, tomato like passata, right? Then mix it with like the hot sauce and blend it somewhere in the middle. So you've got the consistency of a ketchup and the flavour of a good tomato ketchup, but also right at the back end you've got a little bit of heat.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you're coming away from a basic sweet tomatoey kind of thing to somewhere a little, not in any way bitter, but not as sugary as a ketchup. A lot less vinegar. Yeah, packed of fruit, packed of flavour, with a good kick of a Scotch bonnet at the end. So you can squirt it all over your breakfast burger or your breakfast bap or whatever you want to do, and it's not going to kill you. Your lips won't be numb for 3 days. It'll just be really good, really strong, and phenomenal. And that's if I ever get time, that's what's coming up next.
That's brilliant. How do you go into that? Do like time wise? How do you get time, or do you have to make time to then go right? We need to focus on this. We want it out by July or whatever, however long it might take you to come up with it. How do you sort of do that?
Well, luckily for me, the board of directors is this person here. So if I change my mind and change the timescale, I don't get fired. Um, But it's one of those things that you create, or somebody gives you an inspiration for an idea. So this, we've already got, it's going to be called breakfast bonnet sauce, as in breakfast sauce with Scotch bonnets. And we've even created a label. We just haven't created the sauce yet. I thought it was easier to
Wow.
create a label than the sauce, because I give that to somebody else to do. So it is. It's just a matter of. So I'm full time employed by somebody else. So this really is a side hustle, and I've made literally no money out of it at all. Well, I may have made enough to get a takeaway curry at some point, but at the minute it's about building a brand. So and that's one of the things which is harder than I thought it would be, without throwing every ounce of dollar at it. But yeah, so it's thinking like so it could be. Actually, I can't do it this long weekend because I'm actually going away on holiday in a couple of days after that. So I'm apparently going to pack and find some clothes to wear. Maybe you have to do it the other way around. So, but yeah, it is. It's literally dedicating 2 days, maybe three, because you've got the basic idea. I mean, I can make the Ledders Extreme Hot Sauce pretty much with my eyes closed now. Although it would make a heck of a mess. So when you want to introduce, it's getting. First of all, you've got to. So for this new product, I've got to make the right base kind of ketchup. So I've got to get half of the bottle right before I put in the half of the Letters Extreme at the top, sort of thing. Although it obviously isn't. It isn't made like that. But so you've got to you've got to mess around with loads of tomatoes and whatever sweetening that you use to get it right. Now, then it's like, let's just try 100% tomatoes blitzed. So I'm going to end up with like a passata kind of thing. So if I taste that, if I just add a bit of like sauce to that, how does that come out? Because I don't want any sugar, really. I want to get away from that completely, as I've said before. So then it's just a matter of like, I've done this and I've added that. No. Okay, we'll add a bit more of this for the next batch. Do you see what I mean? And then eventually you'll get to something that you'll then give to some people, um, some sort of victims, and luckily I can count on them for very constructive feedback.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh look, he's dead. Oh, we won't use that one then.
Right, number 7 didn't work. Let's go to number 6.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
too
we need
far.
some more victims. I've run out of these ones. Yeah.
Brilliant. With doing that, have you found some things that are like? I presume some of that has come quite naturally by the sounds of it. A lot of it has come naturally, and you wanting to do that is very natural to you. Is there any things that you found harder than you might have even expected whilst doing any of the
In terms of making it, I don't think so, because it's always been an interest. I mean, I've always been a frustrated chef, but the clean cooking, or clean creation of food, or foodstuffs maybe, it for me is become really, really, really important. And I, the frustrations are when friends of mine, they've now got, well, friends of friends who've got kids, and they're like, oh, we're going to go to certain fast food restaurants. And I'm like, no. Like, do you know how many like ingredients are in their fries, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Lots,
Yeah.
right? When I was a kid, there was potato. It was cooked in lard, and that was it. So there was about two ingredients, not 19. Um, so that for me has become a like a fascination to make something that can last reasonably long time, but also so full of flavour, but yet a lot better for you than the processed stuff, the hidden sugars and all that thing that we spoke about before.
Yeah.
But to get to that point, no, it's kind of all self-taught, and you kind of know, if you mix white and red, what color you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
So I think you get to a point where, if you know, if I'm going to add more honey, what's going to happen, or if I'm going to add more vinegar, if I'm going to, or what do I get it a better consistency, or what do I get a stronger tomato flavor or something?
I think that's really interesting to have it as a point of the more of the health conscious side of things as like the soul behind it. I think really it shines through, but it's important as well.
Yeah, it is, because you can go to the supermarket, and if people are listening, go to the supermarket and look at the hot
Mhm.
sauces that you're buying.
I'm gonna
Look on the back, right? 15% chilies, 25%. Third, there's a couple that are really good. There's one of the Encona. I think Encona do one, and it's something like 70% or something off the top of my head, which is way, way, way better than anything else. If I can do it at 80, 85%, why can't I? Oh, it must be something. I mean, I don't want to be cynical, but
With
it's probably all to do with money.
with that as well, though, thinking about it, just as like a curiosity, really. Say yours is 85%, or whatever percent anybody else's
Yeah.
is. Does that doesn't necessarily mean the heat of the chili, does it?
Yeah.
No,
But
that's what I find interesting because I would assume it did. I would assume
yeah, you think
80% is
more.
going to
You,
kill
you
you.
think more of the you think more of the thing that sets it alight would make it
Yeah,
burn brighter.
yeah.
No, no. That I mean, you could open it out. But so one of the things a couple of friends and I do, if I've made another batch and I have a friend, we may go to the pub just up the road, and we'll take a bottle, and you'll get like uh, some crisps, or the best thing is quavers. Right, get a bag of
Okay.
quavers in the pub. Just pour some on there, just eat it, and and you get people who are interested. They're like, "Would you have a chat?" And people are, "Oh man, this is amazing." And you're like, it's just a hot sauce, right? But it's not just a hot sauce. It's Leda's extreme hot sauce, and the difference is you haven't got all that goes in other sauces, right? So you look at Heinz ketchup. How much tomatoes are in that?
Yeah,
Not many. And
not
and,
as
and
much
when
as there
people
is
start,
sugar.
yeah, when people start to look at that, and that's really the drive for me is, you know, um, we're never going to be millionaires, right? Making this. Well, never say never.
Yeah,
But
never.
but
Yeah.
it's why would you want to eat something that's supposed to be like a fruit sauce when there's hardly any fruit in it?
It doesn't make any sense, does it, when you put it like that?
We asked me that one. Um, but then people eat McDonald's fries.
Well, I
Never
think
tried
what
that
no,
again. Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. It sounds really good. I think one of the things that I try and do with the work that I do is processes, and I'm really big on if I can get my processes right, things can work better and I can be more efficient. Do you have any processes that you have learnt and to do to make your process better and more efficient?
It the efficiency side it's all about finding the right. The most important things are the ingredients, which is the process, right? Make the sauce, bottle the sauce, market the sauce, and get it get it into the post. Um, I think that because it's a simplistic product with minimal ingredients and cooking time, so to speak, the priority is to get the fresh ingredients in the day of or the day before, because the last thing I want to do is be plucking through things that aren't fresh. And let me tell you, when you've got like 8 kilos of Scotch bonnet peppers, like in a box,
My
and
goodness.
one a chopping board and a sharp knife, and some very good rubber gloves, and eye protection.
Yeah,
So the process, I've got to be honest, the process is quite simple. It's the hardest, and it's not even hard, is to time manage when everything arrives. So the empty bottles, just surprisingly, I have loads of those all over the desk. Uh, the sort of sourcing things is difficult, and the cost just spirals every time. So although that's not part of the process, unless you're talking about cost
it is.
management,
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah.
that's the hardest thing. So I sent a bottle out to a guy who runs a Facebook um, page on hot sauces. And I said, well, I'll just send it to you. So you just give me some feedback and put it on your page. And, and And not long ago, I was sending out the bottle all nicely wrapped, and it was £2 something a bottle to send. So whatever, if it costs £2.50, I'm going to charge you £2.50. It's not a money making scheme in that sense. It was just under £4 to send the same bottle. And I'm like, well, that has a massive impact on the cost of you buying it now. Traditionally, I'd sell that bottle at £7. Now, if I add £2 on it for postage, that's £9. Now, if I add £4, that's 11. So you've
Mm,
gone over the magic 10 number, right? You're now in a double figures. And at that point, people are like, ooh, £11.
really.
What's going on here then?
Is that where you come in with the two for whatever that 2 for 18 or whatever it is? Like, I don't know what you could do. I guess
Yes.
that's
So now, and I nearly fainted in the post office, which is never a good trick. Come on, like, what do I get free for £4? I mean, you can't charge me £4. Like, so being the good person that I was, I just said thank you very much and gave her the money and ran away. Um, so that I've been thinking of not a lot else since. How do I sell multiple bottles? So we've got to look at other areas of how. I was thinking, when you look at if you sell something on eBay nowadays, they have a deal with the carrier where the charge is fixed for a certain amount. So I'm investigating whether I open up just an eBay store and take advantage of that. Unsurprisingly, eBay will want some of my margin, and when I say some of my margin, there isn't much there. When you consider how much these cost when you buy them in very small quantities, and then you've got um, the raw ingredients that you're buying in relatively small quantities, the cost per bottle is very high. So whilst at the minute if I said I made a profit, I probably do. But if the profit's usable, you know, so technically I probably just over break even. But as I said, I'm not going on a holiday on the strength of selling hot sauce.
not yet.
And yeah, if it was to a point where I could quit work, believe me, I'd be there tomorrow. So it's all about, like I think we said at the start, brand awareness, and what does that brand stand for? Is it one of the things when I was in America, I loved looking at other hot sauces, and there's a bazillion different types, and they've all got great like pictures on it, great logos, great labeling. It's all to do with fiery heat, and you know sometimes when it comes in and sometimes when it goes out, and it's all very. And there's stores that's dedicated to hot sauces, and I'm like, fabulous, fabulous. But then again, when you look at them, you're still the same story. Okay, well, all right, so I wanted the brand to be out there, is recognised with A being a fantastic flavoured hot sauce and variants within. So we got the Reaper's Revenge if you really want to go to the serious extremes of heat of chili sauce, and I mean it is seriously hot. Um, to Letter's Extreme, which is a good hot sauce, a good day-to-day hot sauce, and then the Breakfast Bonnet, which is um, spicy ketchup, for want of a better
Yeah,
phrase. Yeah, ketchup. You know, but I want that to be recognised. But at the same time, it's not packed full of fillers. It's not got stabilizers. It's not got things to make the color consistent. It's not got things to make it runny consistent. So from batch one to batch 1,000 is identical. For me, that takes away the whole embodiment of what we're doing. We're making small batches to make it flavor. To know, I know exactly what's gone in every bottle of sauce we've sold. Right, I've poured the damn thing.
yeah.
Right. I'm going to have my fingers in my eyes. The house, you can't use the house for a week afterwards. The smell's that bad. Um, so, but that embodies what it is for me, and it's getting that brand and almost a strap line that goes with it about how clean it is.
With people wanting to buy your hot sauce or any of the things that you do in the future, how can they reach you and how can they do that? Because you do batches. How can they get in touch or how can they get in?
Well, very badly is the honest answer. It's something that, because we've created a monster out of doing it through friends and family and friends of friends and friends on my Facebook. So there's a Letters Extreme Facebook page. So if you go on a Facebook and search Letters Extreme, spelt like that, um, then you'll find it, and then literally just message me. And because what I found with it, depending on where you are, we can get it to you, or if you want a number of them, then we'll because like clever sites have, like, if you buy one bottle the postage is X amount, if you buy three bottles it's Y. We're not that advanced in terms of I just roughly know how much it's going to cost you, and we'll work it out between us. it's it's
It's a
it's
good,
like that.
honest. Yeah, that's it.
As I say, at the minute I just want to get bottles out there, um and spread all over the country. In fact, we have them up. We have customers up in Scotland, so we can't really get much further away than. Actually, I've got customers in Florida, which I've got to take some out to, but that's more friends than anything else. Um, the eBay store idea will help with that, because it will have facilities for people to use a PayPal account or a card account or whatever. At the minute, I just dump it either on PayPal or straight into my other account. So there is ways. The thing I'm trying to do more of, my aim for this year is to get into a couple of local stores, a couple of little artisan sort of butchers we have here, in very sunny Shropshire. Um, and then do a couple of, there's a food festival back end of the summer, in Wellington here. So I want to get a stall there, and there's one of the best indoor markets in the UK in Shrewsbury.
Wow.
They do every now and again they do like a rental of a cart, so you don't have to be part of the market, regular market store. You can just every now and again you can just go in and just rent one for a Saturday,
Wow.
which is a great idea. So when I'm brave enough and it's one of those things. How many bottles do you make for that day? Are we going to have a
Yeah.
phenomenal day and sell out, or am I going to make 100 bottles and sell one? And it's that is the fear of like, where do you pitch that day?
I can imagine. Well, my parents they run a stall on a similar thing, not to do with food or anything, but and they when they first started doing those events or the exhibitions as they they were always like, how much do we take, especially if it's perishable for yourself, like. You've got to have a good email list or something afterwards. Be like, right, we've got 16 bottles left, or 40
Yeah,
bottles, or
it's half
it's
price today. Yeah,
yeah. But I think it's I was going to say one of my suggestions would be have you tried any of those? So that's really cool that's
yeah,
definitely a goal.
yeah. So I think it's it's a matter of the next stage is investing more into that area, and as I say, it isn't really a self-sufficient business in any way. It really is hand to mouth, and if we've made any money, it's got lost when I bought a pint of beer and a packet of crisps. But it's not about that right now. It's about people appreciating, and then the feedback from those people which is the critical thing. So every time somebody buys something, what did you like it? Oh, I loved it. Right. Can you tell me? And if you didn't like it, why didn't you like it? Because that's maybe more important. Like, well, I found it. Well, okay. So the way we can overcome that is by slightly tweaking something. Luckily, I haven't had any negative feedback at all. But then I have paid the people to eat the sauce.
I
That's
think
not true. I didn't
I
pay them.
think no. I think one of the really important things about anybody growing anything or any business is to have that humility to listen to somebody's feedback and to ask for the feedback and be, because I think a lot of people may miss a step of actually genuinely trying to reach out to everybody that you touch base with and go, just honest feedback's fine. I don't need a 5 star off everybody. I just want you to tell me what you think. And 9 times out of 10 it's amazing anyway. But I think being open to hearing that is going to help that brand and the community and the word of
Yeah.
mouth and
And it's
everything build.
also, they're great in giving you ideas of what to do next. So,
Mm.
it's not fruity enough for me. Well, what do you mean by fruity? Fruity as in I need a banana flavour, or fruity as in, I mean, I can't put any more fruit in it, as in volume, right? Literally, you
Sure.
can't. Anything else, and it's just a mash.
Wow.
Um, so do you mean what about if I put some mango in? So
Mm.
the opportunity to go forward, because and you'll see some mango hot sauces or whatever. Or actually, do you do a banana flavour? Do you
Do
do
a
a touch
chili
of
and lime or yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Or so the other thing, one of the things that we came about early one morning, well, sort of mid morning, was oh, Bloody Mary sauce.
Ciao.
Oh yeah, you see, I don't know what we were doing that made us think of that, um, but it did involve vodka. Um, so that the spin-off, but keeping the theme the same, is important, because obviously a Bloody Mary you can make with very, very good fresh ingredients,
Mhm.
and again, that's the ethos. That's what we want to do.
So that's where the branding comes in, isn't it? That's where the yeah, you say the ethos, everything that you truly believe must be central around it. But let's do mango, let's do
Yeah,
whatever it might be.
and
That's
if you're
really
going
good.
to do a mango, let's use, oh, I know, mangoes.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Let's use actual mangoes. If I want to make a Bloody Mary sauce, let's use real tomatoes.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. None of this. And I've said it 1,000 times, the fake flavour. Right?
Mhm.
Let's just use real boulders brass. Get rid of the stuff that you don't need.
Yeah. And when you were coming up with the labels and things, what were your ideas like? I've seen in America and everywhere has a chili on everything, and I want to do that. I want to have a character. I want to.
We,
What was your thoughts?
I've just said, I've never looked round, so I've got some of my old ones to hand. No,
Oh,
I
that'd be
haven't.
cool.
So I started off with like a stereotypical sombrero with
Of course.
chilies hanging from it, and fire coming out of the guy's mouth, something along those lines.
Yeah.
I thought it was dead cool.
Obviously. Yeah.
Dead cool.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's such an enjoyable thing to try and produce something like that because it's just very stereotypical. It's got fire, it's got chilies, Uh, 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 so then we tried that, and I tried to replicate it on different things, and I just used very basic um, self-adhesive labels that you can buy, you know, all over the shop, and printed them on a normal printer. And they were fine because at that point I didn't need the back logo telling you everything about it and what not to do, what you do if you're adverse to avocados and you eat it in the Bahamas or something, or whatever, all the things that you have to put on there now. Um, so then I was talking to a friend who I work with, and he's one of those digital freaky kind of art designer. And I showed him what goes. It was what else? Well, I'd kind of like to change it a bit. I wanted a bit more. I want to create the brand. I want the logo as the brand. And so he came up with mostly that. We changed it quite a bit so it's got like it's done away with the over stereotyping the Mexican influence, which I think we should do. So we've gone basically to a non demographic of a skull, but then obviously with the heat, the fire, the chilies coming out, and there's a couple of X's in there for artistic license. I don't know what the X is
I
for,
like
but,
that.
but,
Yeah.
but it looks okay. And then the actual font was important too. So it took a few goes, and then the Reaper's Revenge. I wanted the Grim Reaper, um, and that's probably my favourite label.
Yeah, that's cool. It is cool.
Yeah,
I'll try and put what I'll do. I'll put all the links and everything below so people can follow and see what it all looks like. But they can click
yeah,
through, and hopefully they're going to be doing it while they're
yeah.
listening to this.
The Reaper's Revenge logo it's such a shame that's which, and for all the right reasons, it's the least selling sauce because
Yeah.
it is like eating raw lava.
My God.
But with flavour, and that's the thing with it, and that's the key point. Although it's ridiculously hot, you've got the flavour of that chili, right? And the flavour of a Carolina Reaper, it is different than that of a habanero, of a Scotch bonnet, of a whatever. So you've got to keep in keeping with what it's meant to be. I mean, it is fiery, fiery hot. I'm not, you know, but it does what it says on the tin. And when you look at there's a picture. There's a reason there's a picture of the Grim Reaper on the front. Let's put it like that.
Unbelievable. So if you're feeling a bit brave, then feel free to grab some of that.
Yeah, but, as I say, the Letters Extreme day-to-day sauce, the Reaper's Revenge, use it in cooking. Instead of adding like tons of other sauce, a few good drops. Put it in imagine like a really nice lasagna, and you want to whiz it up a little bit. A few drops of that, right?
Yeah, that's really nice. You're making me
Or even
hungry
if
already.
yeah, start with, and even if going back to make a Bloody Mary, put a few splashes of that in a Bloody Mary, whip it up.
Yeah. That's one of the things as well, actually, that I was intrigued about is do you have any specific foods that you're like, this sauce with this food is the what,
Well,
like, as you say,
that's
quavers,
really
like,
what I wanted to do. So when
yeah,
I've
go on.
got my backside into gear and I've got the website sorted, there's going to be Leda's suggested recipes or add it. A friend of mine said the other day, it's actually my boss. He's like, I need another bottle of sauce. I said, we only had the last one like last week. What's the matter with you? Have you just spill it, drop it, or what? He goes, oh, put it in your baked beans. I'm like, well, I'm not really a big baked bean eater. Yeah. So, amazing. Good few slugs of that in your baked beans. So even silly things like that can transform a simple, basic thing, and you're not adding badness to your baked
Mm,
beans, right?
mm.
It's not like you're adding stuff that's. Ooh. So yeah, so that's one of the things I want to do is have like a, an input from other people. But I've tried it on a scrambled eggs. Put it in there. I mean, I don't eat eggs, so I could think of nothing worse. But it's the first thing that came to mind. Yeah, steak and kidney pie or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But then, yeah, but for me, it would be things where you've got like a meat content, like a lasagna, like a chili, or if you make a spag bowl or something like that, or put a bit on your finished steak and stuff.
Oh, oh, sounds really good. With the branding side of things and the potential of the website and things like that as you're building it and what you would like to do, is there anything that you're saying to people like obviously keep in tune on the Facebook and keep an eye out, and I guess you'll be advertising on there if there's anything that changes. But are you hoping to have it where people can go in and order things?
Yeah,
I
so
guess as it
so
grows.
that really, so the commercial side is really where I've got to get something going sooner rather than later. And as I mentioned, the eBay store is probably the easiest route to market right now. So even if I was on the Facebook page, look, if you want to order it and you feel safer using, a PayPal or something, because yeah, I mean, I could be stealing £7 from people and you never get a bottle of
Yes.
sauce. And I know people do that, and I promise you, I'm not in a position where I need to do that right now. I
You're
might do
okay.
it in a couple of months' time, but no, seriously. The good thing about the Facebook thing is my profile's been on there for 120 years or whatever it is, and you could ask a thousand different people. I understand that some people aren't too happy doing that. So if you wanted to use, a global thing like an eBay store, then that may be the easiest way. And then because even if I created my own website, and I could do that this afternoon, it could be live. Nowadays with an AI functionality, I could have a website done in no time at all, and a whole e-commerce thing. But you still don't know who I am,
Yeah,
and there's
yeah.
still no security. The only security if maybe if you paid by PayPal or you may pay by your credit card. But
Same
then why
gateway,
why
isn't it?
why have I again that comes down. I'd rather dump it like on a PayPal thing. We can do it where the costs aren't included because the
Mhm.
cost of the empty bottle is I'm telling you it's over £1. Well, it's
Mm.
actually by the time you pay for carriage, it's nigh on £1 just for the bottle alone,
Can
right?
add up quick, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
It does, yeah. And
Yeah, I
the,
can
the, the
imagine.
labels the labels cost a fortune to have printed because you have to have them specially printed so they don't smudge. And then the back label you have to have printed, and you have to write on every single one of them a best before date.
With your sources, how long do you give them as like a shelf life? Once somebody's got it and opened it.
But the reality of it is, because there's nothing in there, most of the things in there are very good. I put I've researched how to do this, and
Yeah.
it was actually quite entertaining. Like, oh, really? So if I make it, I put best before within 6 months of the batch when it's made. The reality of it is it'll stay good for over. I mean, it's sealed, right, and it's got their little thing. It should be good for a year. The only way it'll go off, right, is if you ever see it got some green stuff on because you've kept it open somewhere. But the best way, I am told, I don't keep mine in the fridge, but I actually keep mine in the
Mm.
cupboard because I don't want to put cold sauce on hot food. Um, uh, People that keep it in the fridge apparently will make it last longer, but the reality of it is it'll last for months and months.
You'll eat it before it runs out most of the time. That's the idea. So, okay, that's good. Because I thought with one of my misconceptions, even just thinking about it while you've been talking, was that because it's fresh, maybe it only lasts a couple of weeks or something. But
But then you
that's
have got
impressive.
preservative in the vinegar and
Sure,
honey
of course,
and a
of
little bit
course.
of salt.
Oh, that works really well. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay, that does make a lot more sense. Um, is there anything that that you're able? I'm not asking you to give away your trade secrets, but is there anything that you would?
I have.
Is there anything that you would give away as like a moment of learning that you've picked up that you could teach somebody watching? Is there anything that you on branding on the anything? Absolutely.
Honestly, and actually delivering something that people like.
Mm.
I think at the start I mentioned we did this chili cook-off, and so the story continues that this following year we had a stall, and we we actually won one of the prizes, which was phenomenal. The year after, I'm like, well, I'm going to sell some of the chili sauces there as well because we've got this big stand, and you know, so I put the stand up there. I mean, it's all about the chili. Okay, and we're cooking something like how many gallons of chili? It's a horrendous amount, and you start at like 5:30 or 6 a.m., which the whole ethos was as a great day out. So obviously we were starting drinking Bloody Marys at like 5:30, 6 a.m. But going back to what it was presenting the sauce, but so we had a big bowl of what the American calls chips, so local torts, and I'd try it before you buy it, try before you buy it, and let me know what you think. And then do you know what? Like we sold out in about an hour.
And I can imagine you doing that. I can imagine at these artisan markets and stuff.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can imagine
So,
that would
so,
work
so,
really well.
so, yeah. So have faith in what you do. Believe in what you
Yeah.
do. Be excited about why you do it, and how you do it, and put your money where your mouth is.
Put it
You know,
out there.
try it. Have a tortilla chip or whatever they're called, and put a bit of sauce on it. Just have a mouthful, and then if you like it, what's the worst thing that could happen? You
Yeah,
could
that's
buy some. You know.
you could
The
just
worst thing is
enjoy
if
it.
you come back tomorrow and have another bottle, or you could say, "Look, my uncle likes this, my cousin likes this, my friend likes this," and you buy them all,
Yeah,
and it makes a great gift because it's coming up for Christmas.
that's it. So yeah, that's true.
It's
Christmas is
nearly
always around the
Father's
corner.
Day. When's Father's Day? It's got to
Yeah,
be that.
next week. Yeah,
Father Day limited edition. Hang on,
yeah.
let me get my copy
Quickly.
out.
So I
Father's
got to go.
Day. Yeah, and I can even sign them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's fantastic. Um, okay, that's brilliant. One of the other things I was looking to sort of understand as well is when you're in your kitchen and when you're making it and you're in your groove, messy as possible. What does your typical day look like when you're making your batches?
Oh, um, it looks like hell. So the thing is, what you've got to be critical of nowadays, you've got to be first of all, it's like hours prep beforehand in terms of washing everything down, bleaching everything down, cleaning everything down, and getting it to a point where, you know, if somebody did come in like, oh, it's literally spotless. Then you have this big cauldron kind of thing where you've got to like start. So the chopping of the chilies is the worst thing on the planet because the odor and the opportunity to burn yourself, you know, either with oil from
Yeah.
you know. So you're in almost like hazmat equipment, gloves up to here,
No one's
eye
allowed in the
protection
house.
on. Yeah, and literally, nobody else is in the house. Um, so it is a whole day
Mm.
of butchery of raw ingredients, and then you start to produce like the chili mash, the Scotch bonnet mash, because you make that all the way through, and then leave that, and then that just stinks the house out for like 2 days,
Yeah, I bet.
literally.
Wow.
And then when you open the lid of that, honestly, the fumes, you literally have to wear a mask. Um,
Bloody hell.
so it's not all joyous fun and decanting from one pot into another and
Yeah.
stirring it up and creating a bottle of sauce. It is a military operation, and cleanliness is the most important thing. Um, Waste is horrendous because you chop the Scotch bonnet and you take the top off. Luckily now I've got like a big blender thing that does chopping as opposed to with a knife, because at the end of the day it's going to get blended, so it doesn't have to be a particular size. So just cut it in a few bits, get it put in a cauldron. The same with obviously with the garlic. You know, get a load of cloves, make sure they're fresh, make sure they're organic, chop it up, chuck it in. My, you know, the honey, where if it's not, it's produced by my brother's to be wife. Are they engaged? I think they're engaged. So actually, so his fiance's parents create honey down in Kent. So I steal as much as I can from them because I get it for free.
Ah, nice.
Well, until I have to keep buying in bottles of scotch as a thank you. So it's not. It'll probably be cheaper to buy organic honey from a supermarket. Um, but so I'll buy organic honey or locally produced wherever possible. So again, that's that's that. But yeah, the making of it is, and the cleaning up afterwards. It's a job.
Yeah, it sounds like it, especially if it fumes out the whole house for a couple of days as well.
Yeah.
That's
But of
unbelievable.
course, you still need to keep the place pretty closed down because you don't want anything flying in or flying out.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, honestly, it reeks. So
Powerful.
you close as many doors in the house as possible. And luckily I live on my own, so I don't get too much grief. But people come around, oh my, what you idiot! Why would you do that? You know?
Yeah. Is there later down the line any aspirations for your own kitchen and that side of things? What?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm lucky that I have a couple of opportunities to use a professional kitchen on a couple of day basis. So I don't. I've got like a stepping stone opportunity. So if I get to the position where I can't produce that much at home, which would be nice, I have straight away an opportunity to use a local education facility that has a catering section, and during the weekends that you can rent part of it. So there is that opportunity. But yeah, after that, it's then comes to the point where you become a big business, isn't it?
Mhm.
And you then do
Yeah.
I subcontract it, which I'd rather drill my own eyes out with a rusty nail, or the whole thing is about it's my name on the label, Colin Ledsom, letters, right? It doesn't take a genius to it. So if I'm putting my name to it, right, I got to know that that's in it, and if it's in it, it follows the ethos from day one. Um, hey, if HP buy me out or whatever, then I've made a
Cool.
few million.
Yeah.
I really don't care anymore. I'm out. I'm gone.
Yeah.
I got to be honest.
Yeah. No,
And,
that's fine. Come.
but even the thing with that is that you still, for it to be the same sauce, it's got to be the same ingredients, right? Okay, if one of those big corporations did take it over 100 years down the line, then I'll be dead and I won't know. But you if you think about the sauces that you've grown up and loved as a kid, and your parents too, HP sauces or Heinz ketchup, they've gone through so many different growths and changes over the years, but it still kind of tasted the same, right? But they don't have that ethos of why it was made. And as long as whatever happens in the future, that remains. That's the key. You know, great flavor, packed full of fruit. And no,
I 100% agree with that being your ethos and should be for many years to come. Should all forever be the point.
yeah.
With little twists
And
and
it's the
turns, but
same with all the other products. So it's same
yeah,
with the pico, same with the hummuses. Why would you put things in you don't need?
yeah. Once you've got that logic in your head, it doesn't make sense to do that. It doesn't
Yeah,
make
and it's
sense.
the same with we could go on it. Or it's the same with your cooking. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm off on a tangent. There's a soapbox behind it. I'm just going to stand on it for a while.
You've got your stage. It's all good. um, are there any things that you looking back from when you started to where you are now? Is there anything that you would tell your younger self, even like a few years back, of when you first started doing it to where you are now, that to look out for that you've learned along the way?
Well, I think I would have, if I had my time back, I'd start more with the marketing in terms of a website from day one,
Okay.
as opposed to the way around that I've done it. So I would have more of an e-marketing opportunity for people, because I think people still like, oh, why put a hurdle in the way of someone trying to buy something?
100%. Yeah, it makes sense.
Right. So what is the hurdle, and how do we smooth that to a flat line? So the hurdle at the minute is you've got to go onto my Facebook page and you've got to message me, hey Colin, I'd like 2 bottles of sauce, please. Absolutely fine, no problem. And at that point, we'll make it as easy as possible. I'll just say, not a problem. All you do, send me some money, I'll stick it in the post. Or if you live next door, I'll throw a 3 letterbox. Not literally throw it, but you know what I mean. So
Yeah, yeah.
so there's always obstacles to get, pardon me, to get somewhere. So for me, the obstacle I have is somebody in Scotland ordering a bottle of sauce. Okay, it's not insurmountable. It's quite easy. You just send me a message, Colin, can I have this? And I'll say, yeah, it's going to cost you X. And you send me X, and I send you the sauce. That's not a massive issue, but any tiny obstacle you wanna flatten out. So any reason for them, any sales prevention techniques we want to iron out.
Yeah, that's fair. And yeah, I agree. I think making it as easy as possible is great, and easy as possible to reorder as well.
Yes,
Like
that's it.
when you say if you're asking, even getting people to, you could fairly easily set up a trust pilot and say, when you give your feedback, that's great to come to me, but if you could leave it on there, then that builds it up for your website maybe in
Yeah,
the future as well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, and here's how to reorder, and just
yeah,
drop me a text or whatever it might be,
yeah,
or here's my new website or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
That's great. Or
That's it,
here's my eBay.
exactly it. And I think that's so critical for the next stage, and
Yes.
then the food festivals, the food fairs, that kind of thing. Um, and then who knows? But honestly, it's a great source.
I can't wait to try it. I'm really excited. You'll be getting a Facebook message from me
Okay.
immediately. Right,
Yeah.
Colin, let's sort this out.
I
Um,
would go with it. Just go with this and stick it on a bacon
it
sandwich.
sounds perfect. Okay, we've got a closing tradition as well that we have, where the person that previous asks a question or leaves something for somebody else. And I want to ask you if you can leave either a question or a quote or something of like a book you've read that's great for business, or anything that you think you want to get into for this episode before we leave.
So I think we literally we briefly mentioned it there, and I'm a professional, allegedly, salesman is what I do, and everything sadly is about making money, isn't it? At the end of it, that's how business, that's how the world survives. So for me, it's don't be a sales prevention officer. You know, whatever that obstacle is, do your best to remove it. My ethos in the whole of life, and it's not a rude word, so we're okay. Is just don't be a dick.
That's fair. We've got a poster in our bedroom that says exactly that.
Yeah, and I in my professional, I deal with a lot of distributors, and then I said just stop being a dick.
So
Just
simple.
the customer wants this, we have this. It kind of meets in the middle, right? And do you know what? If you sell it to him, you make some money. Now, I'm not sure why you get out of bed in the morning, but I'm pretty damn sure it's to make money, right? Unless you're retired and you've got it all coming in, you've made your money, right? So, but yeah,
That's fair. That's fair. If
yeah.
you could if you could name this episode based on your story, what would you name it?
Ooh, here we go.
I thought I'd try and catch you out with that.
Yeah, that's throwing me. No filler, great idea, great day. All
Oh,
right.
nice. I love it. Okay, that's great. That's wicked. Okay,
With
well,
real ingredients.
it's with real ingredients. It's it's been a pleasure talking to you. And it's been a real eye opener to hear where it all started and how you've got it all together. And also to see what the true ethos of the brand is, and how that literally sets you up every day to think, well, does this tick with this ethos? If it doesn't, it doesn't happen. And I think that's a massive story for people trying to build a brand. That's literally what branding is. That's branding 101, isn't it? To stick
Yeah,
with it regardless.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's really impressive. So if anybody's watching this,
Don't
go
dilute it.
exactly that. Um, go and go and follow Colin on Facebook. I'll put all the links below as well, so anybody can follow it. And get in touch. And
And buy as much sauce as you like.
yes, exactly that.
But there won't be any being sold out in a couple of weeks. I'm on holiday. That
There
the
you
whole
go.
factory closes.
That's wicked. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and it's
And
been a
absolute
wonderful to
pleasure.
chat.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Have a great day.